All right, we're live. What's up, LCA? We're here with Aaron Kiwi Franklin, our SEO master. We're going to be talking today in a world of social media marketing. We sometimes forget all the great things we can do with Google and SEO. We got a master today that's going to be talking about what he does. So, Kiwi, can we talk about real quick kind of what your background is and how you got into this?
Yeah, I used to own an SEO company in the early 2000s called SEO Kiwi, of all names. And I did SEO for plastic surgeons. So plastic surgery was my niche. And, if you know anything about plastic surgery, they get one client from SEO. The lifetime value of that client is like, based on referrals and everything, it's like $50,000, $100,000 for those guys. So it's very, very competitive to generate, and they're all local businesses, right? Well, brick and mortar shops. So I spent probably 5 or 6 years just specializing in Google. It wasn't called Google My Business back then. It was just called local SEO or the Maps SEO. It's changed its name a lot of times, but I've done a lot of the local SEO stuff for years. And now, last couple of years, really sort of figured out how it works for real estate. So I'm excited to share that with everyone.
Good. So I'm glad you brought that up. I think a lot of real estate professionals kind of forget, this side of it. So talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now, the company you work for and what you're up to now.
Yeah, I'm with Ylopo. So Ylopo actually, we're not an SEO company at all. We're a digital marketing company. Everything we do for our clients is paid, but we've got a big community and there's a lot of clients asking about SEO. So what I do is I provide training and support for those guys who are trying to do it so that they can do it themselves. We don't charge anything for that. I just want all our clients to be as successful as possible and to know how to do it. So I've done training around this a few times, especially during COVID when everyone was locked down. This became really popular. So, that's kind of how I got into all of this with Ylopo.
Well, I want to start here, Kiwi, if we could. So I worked with you for, a lot of years. Kiwi, he might not look like it, but he's a brilliant guy. He doesn't look like it at all, but he is a brilliant guy. That's okay. We're friends. I can tease him like that. But anyway, he's a brilliant guy, has a lot to contribute. But the thing about brilliant people, especially when we're talking about real estate, a lot of realtors get really overwhelmed when you start going high level and talking about all the things we should do in marketing and SEO and Facebook and Instagram. And I mean, realtors got to just shut down and go, oh my God, I don't have time for this. It's overwhelming. How do I learn this new thing? So Kiwi, can we start and just talk about some really simple things that people can either do or should look at, or at least get an idea of where they should start?
Yeah, I mean, I want to go high level first.
Okay.
With SEO, there's really, SEO's gotten a lot more difficult in the real estate space due to the portals. I mean, I think the portals are screwing up a lot of stuff for everyone when it comes to marketing. They're driving up lead cost. But from an SEO's perspective, a lot of those guys rank for all of what we call the broad terms. So homes for sale in all the areas that you service, right? Very difficult to rank for an SEO perspective for those types of terms, which drive all the buyers, which you could generate a lot of leads from. So there are a lot of other opportunities that you can beat the portals at where you've got an advantage over them. And one of the big ones is Google My Business. Google My Business is designed for brick and mortar stores. More like, you think of your local pizza shop or you think of your local hardware store, all of those brick and mortar stores, they want to make sure they're easily found on Google and you're able to access them. And in real estate, a lot of you guys have brick and mortar offices, right? So whereas Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, those guys, they don't have that. So Google My Business is an opportunity you've got that they don't have. So
what can we pause right there? I want to make sure everybody understands this piece. What we're talking about is what differential, what unique thing can you do on a very hyper-local level that the big nationals and portals are spending all this money don't have that advantage. So hopefully you guys caught that. So Kiwi, can you kind of just slow that down for a second, repeat that? I want this to really sink in for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Google My Business, also called GMB, is designed specifically for Google to help drive traffic to those local businesses, okay? So you can claim your listing. Claiming your listing is all about having an address and a local phone number and being the local person people can walk into and do business with. So that's why they set up Google My Business. And not just for real estate, but for all the brick and mortar stores. you got to be on Google My Business, because you're competing a lot of times with these big digital sort of marketing companies or digital sort of agencies who are trying to get all the same traffic, but they don't have a brick and mortar store. So the big opportunity for Google My Business is for you guys who have got those brick and mortar stores to be able to optimize that listing so that you can pick up that traffic that other agents may not know how to do. The second part of that is, having the local is great and the Google My Business is great. And the terms you're going to get for Google My Business are things like when people are searching for a real estate near me, right? So I'm in Santa Monica. So if I want to sort of show up for real estate agent in Santa Monica, realtor in Santa Monica, best real estate agent in Santa Monica, all of those terms I can rank for using Google My Business. So that's sort of what I'm going to show you today. The other part of it is long tail SEO. So you sort of rank for terms like, home for sale in Santa Monica. It would be very, very difficult for me to sort of rank for that because the portals own that term. But you can go very, very long tail. You can go homes for sale in Santa Monica with swimming pools from 500,000 to 750,000. Long, very specific type searches. You can rank for those sort of things as well. So that's another opportunity. But today I really want to focus on the GMB, Google My Business, because I think that's the lowest hanging fruit.
Okay, so already I'm going to guess that agents are going, oh shoot, like I see one comment in here saying, can this work for you if you're a single agent with no address? I already know agents going to think, oh my God, I'm already busy. How do you set this up? Will this work for me? Does it apply to me? So let's talk about how do we even get started with this?
Yeah, so to get started, first thing you need to do, look, if you're a single agent and you're working from home, this is not really designed for you. This is designed if you have an office and you want more traffic to the office, you want more people knowing that's your office, you sell real estate and you want to generate a lot more leads from the internet because you've got that office, right? So that's what GMB is really for. You can, however, say, your home address is your office, and you can rank that office. You can rank your home address inside Google My Business, right? But it needs to be a legitimate business, a business name, and you need to link it to that address, and you need to have a phone number that's linked to that address. So that's, but to start with Google My Business, you need to go to google.com/business, and you need to claim your listing. What that means is you're basically saying, this is the name of my business, this is the phone number, this is the address, and what they're going to do then is give you two ways to be able to verify that that is a true local business. Sometimes they're going to allow you to do a phone verification. They're going to call that number, make sure you're there. They're going to give you a secret code. You're going to be able to plug it in. You've claimed that listing now. The other way is that they're going to mail out a postcard, which takes 3 to 5 days. That postcard will come with a PIN number on it. You'll log back into Google and be able to claim it from there. Essentially what you're doing is you're putting your flag in the ground saying, this is where I work, this is my business, and that's step one.
Okay, so can we, Sandra, can you post that in the chat real quick? So Kiwi just gave the Google address on where to do it. So google.com, was it /
business.
Can we throw that in the chat real quick, because I think everybody should have to write that down if you want to go there. So let's say you do that. How long does it take to set up? Like literally walk me through how much time?
Well, look, I think if you're going to do it thoroughly and properly, which is what I want to sort of show people today, it should take you about 45 minutes to an hour. Because you want to be going in there and setting up, the correct service areas, the correct keywords, you're going to upload all the photos. You're going to then create some posts to go in there. There's a lot of little things, a lot of little boxes to check so that you're actually using your Google My Business account effectively, so that Google sees, hey, these guys are actually legitimate. They're a real business. We're getting all the right signals from them, and let's start giving them some more love with the algorithm and in the search results. I will say one other thing. One of the big parts of the Google algorithm for local businesses after you've claimed your account is getting reviews, and that's something I can't show you how to do. You've got to go out and get them physically, right? So make sure you try and get as many customer reviews as possible for your Google My Business, because they really, really put a lot of weight into the reviews part of it.
So Kiwi, it sounds like you got a lot of stuff to go through today. You have a lot of things on your mind you want to show everybody. Let's get rolling with whatever else you got. I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of knew the basic steps of this to get started, because I know as agents, we kind of get tripped up as like I'm hearing all this high level stuff, but again, let's break it down and make it bite-sized so I can start it. What else can you tell us? What do you got up your sleeve today for us?
All right, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to dive in.
Love it.
Okay, so when you log into Google My Business, it's gonna look something like this, okay? This is an account for Barry Jenkins, who's our realtor in residence, who I've helped optimize his account for. Before we dive in though, I wanna show you a little bit about some of the results I've gotten for Barry and how you can track results and what are some of the terms that make up a successful result. So I use a tool called Whitespark. It's whitespark.ca, and it allows me to track all the keywords and how much visibility he's getting and how much improvement you have over time and how much progress you're making. So Barry, for example, he's in Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach is pretty competitive. When we first started with, the term best real estate agent Virginia Beach, he wasn't even in the top 100. Now he's number 1, right? Best realtor near me, again, Virginia Beach, number 1. Real estate agent near me, real estate agents near me. A lot of these terms, he wasn't in the top, 9, 10 pages of Google, and now he's on the first page. So these are the sort of terms, these are the sort of things that I'm going to how you can get similar results for yourself today.
Okay, so Kiwi, before we move on from that, I think it's really important to pull this out. You talked about Barry not being in the first 19 pages. Now he's top of the page in Google. Be it below the paid ads. What kind of result do you hear agents talk about from having that type of exposure? What do they usually benefit? What's the benefit of that?
Yeah, well, the benefit from that is he's going to get more phone calls. The thing is, it's a little bit difficult to track sometimes because it's organic, right? But like I also did this for a client of ours, Kirby Schofield, who's in Las Vegas. He's actually in executive suites. He started getting a bunch of people walking in, knocking on the door and saying, hey, I found you on Google. Can you help me find this house? Or can you help me sell my house? And he'd never had anyone find him before because he's in executive suites, right? So it's hard to track because they are just picking up the phone locally or they are walking in. But you're gonna feel it. You can also just ask them, hey, how do you find me? They're gonna tell you. That is the toughest part of it though, but all I can really do is track the results we're getting, and then you'll see the trickle down. The trickle down will be people picking up the phone more, calling you more often, and walking into your office.
So for me, Kiwi, you know this, we have a recruiting site. We've got 570 professionals today working at our company. We have a recruiting site that we built. We've optimized some SEO there, and we started getting recruiting appointments that we never had, right? So we were able to track to a point that, but you're right, sometimes it's brand awareness. People are just finding you. They're feeling more comfortable with you because you're actually out there and visible. Sometimes it's direct lead generation. Sometimes the phone is literally just ringing. Other times it's not. Very good point that it's not all that trackable though.
Yeah, so what I've got here is what I call a GMB checklist. These are the list of items that I feel like are the most important things to do when you claim your listing. Obviously, the first one is claiming your listing. The second one is also very important to understand, and it's called the NAP, N-A-P, which stands for name, address, phone number. And it's very important for Google in order to be able to trust you as a true local business, that your name, address, and phone number is consistent across the internet. So what I mean by that is, your Facebook account, your business name, phone number, address should be the same as what's on Yelp, should be the same as what you gave to Google, should be the same as what's on your website. If you have been jumping around and you've got a different phone number for this, a different phone number for that, a different address for this, Google is now going to get mixed signals, and you lose trust with them, and they're going to rank you lower. So one thing that they put a lot of weight into is, does everything match up? You know, their local algorithm is going to go out and look for your name, address, phone number, and all the places that matter.
So Kiwi, as an agent, this happened to me before, and I see it happen to a lot of agents. You know, whether you move brokerages, change, you know, teams, whatever you do, I mean, sometimes you just get a different phone number or you add a number. I was guilty of this myself, that I found old phone number and old contact information, like on LinkedIn, that I no longer use anymore. And I was really in LinkedIn very often, so I didn't notice. It's a really good idea, everybody, to audit everything 1 or 2 times a year to make sure there's, you know, consistency, that nothing has changed. So that's something I think is crucially important. Great point, Kiwi, because a lot of agents forget to do that.
Yeah, and look, so the name, address, and phone number is called a citation. It's basically a listing, right? So citation is the sort of keyword that the SEO people use. There are a lot of services out there, because trust me, it's a pain in the ass trying to track all these things down, make changes to them. Like a lot of them are on, like, you know, they have these big aggregate sites, which will then distribute out to hundreds of other sites. So you can't always just go directly to the other sites and make changes. You've got to go through the main aggregator. And there's 3 or 4 of them. But I honestly, in my opinion, it's not worth your time doing all this work. You just need to know that it's important. There's a lot of companies out there. The one I use is WhiteSpark, again, the same one I use for a tracking tool. I don't make any money off referring these guys. Another one is Moz, M-O-Z. They've got some local tracking and citation tools. There's quite a few of them out there. I like these guys because they actually do it manually, and they actually physically go in, make all the changes. It takes them like 2 to 3 months, and they clean all that crap up for you so that everything does match. So you can always just go on there, look at their pricing. I don't even know what it is. It's not super ridiculous or anything, but that is an important part of the algorithm, is that name, address, phone number. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. So once you've got those 2 things cleaned up, you also want to figure out what are the main keywords that are going to help you. So for local stuff, it's realtor and it's real estate agent, and then it's your service areas. So you want to make sure, and I'm going to show you, for example, when you come in, let's go to info inside your Barry's Google My Business. So you're going to have an opportunity in here when you're setting up your account to set up categories. So you want real estate agents, real estate agency, anything with real estate or realtor in it, and you want to include it in here. But I think you're pretty limited to what they've got. So that's why I've got these 2 here. But make sure those are in there. Okay. Again, here's the address. And then you want to come through and add in all your service areas. Barry's got quite a few. He covers a fairly big area. So we've included them all in here. So make sure you include your service areas, because people looking for real estate in all these different areas, not necessarily just your town, you still want to be able to rank. You still want to be able to, like, earn that business. You want to fill out all your times, you know,
Hours of operation.
Yep. And then again, the phone number here, make sure that is consistent, okay? And then a link to your website, services. You're going to come in, add the services down here, which is different from service areas, okay? Again, real estate agent, real estate agency, realtor. And then you want to put in a nice description. And then you've pretty much filled out your info, okay? That's one important thing to do. And then another, let me sort of show. So categories, the keywords and the categories are kind of related. So let me sort of cover these 2 right now.
Okay, so we had a good question. I'm going to hold most of the questions for later, but one question that is really relevant for right now from Beth Haywood. should service areas be towns, specifically towns, or could they be entire counties?
I would do it based on what you think people are searching for. So your area better. I know what, like for example, in New Jersey, people call them all towns, whereas out here in California, they're more, cities and versus, towns or neighborhoods. So it depends on your location, but I would use the terms which you think are more popular for the areas that you service and how people would phrase them.
Gotcha. So the better, like you're just trying to increase your odds of the way their search will land on your page. So depending on your area, that's going to dictate that.
Yeah. So one of the other things down here is a section for what we call products. Okay. So again, Google My Business is set up for local businesses that are selling products. For you guys, a product is a property, so you want to come in here. And the way we've done it with Barry is when we add a product, I've got categories for each product, and the categories are based off keywords and the areas he services. So let me sort of show you. These are the categories that we set up for the products. Homes for sale in service area, and then he's got Virginia Beach, boom. So homes, that is a keyword, and it also covers his service area, right? So here we've got a perfect combination of keyword and service area. And then he's just going through for each of his service areas and putting homes for sale. And he's also doing just solds. And then now what happens is, and Barry, for all of this, I recommend you guys outsource a lot of it. I can also give you, let me show you. There's a YouTube video where I've done this training, and you can share it with, a virtual assistant or someone who works under you.
So that's what I wanted to pause you there, Kiwi, because when you say outsource it, in my mind, are you saying, should you hire someone to help with SEO that's got SEO experience, or should we be able to delegate this to somebody that's an admin level? How easy is it to pull off?
Yeah, so look, this is not that difficult. It may seem a little bit overwhelming to you guys at first if you haven't done it. The most difficult thing is just being able to consistently update it and stay on top of it, and it's just a little bit time consuming. So if you guys have virtual assistants, if you have someone, an in-house ISA, I would add it to their plate and just have them do a spreadsheet like this. And then what you can do is just create different tabs. And each time, first of all, you want to make sure that they go through and check off all of these items for you. And then secondarily, you want to make sure each week that they're posting listings, they're posting products, like posting photos. I recommend posting about 3 times a week. And that's why you can see here, Barry's got quite a lot of postings. And by consistently posting in here, you're adding more keywords, you're adding more content, you're adding more ways people can find you through Google. And it's also telling Google, you're active, you're out there hustling, you're getting it done. So they're more likely to send business your way than to someone who's just not doing any of this at all. So it builds trust by doing it consistently. And that's the hardest part of this.
So here's another question. First of all, before the question, so let's talk in terms of building out your schedule to do this. So Kiwi, how often should you be there? Said once a week. What exactly should we be doing once a week?
Yeah, look, I say you should be posting in here to posts. You've got a whole post section where it's basically just like Facebook, right? They're trying to create their own news feed. The reality, but the difference is hardly anyone sees this. It's not like Facebook where all your friends see it, but Google does pick up on these signals. So it does help, especially if you do it consistently, and over time, they'll really reward you with higher results. So I recommend posting and adding products 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay, so this is something you could build right into your schedule. You put it, you predetermine it, your alarm goes off, your notice goes off, time to go and take care of this task. If you preset it, you'll probably be more likely to do it. Also, how about, auditing with Whitespark or something like that, auditing all your contact info? Is that once a quarter, once a year, once every 2? How often do you recommend someone do that?
Yeah, no, with Whitespark, you just set it, and then you can also set it up to email you. Like I get an email once a week with all the results, and I can just sort of quickly browse through it.
That's
And
what
then
I was
other
getting
times
at.
I'll come into the tool and I'll sort of, another cute thing in here, which is kind of cool, I like, is a competitor analysis, right? So I know when I started with Barry, he was down here, and these are two of his main competitors in Virginia Beach. And our goal was, you know, he didn't really want to say it, but our goal was really to kick their asses. And we've done that, right? We can see he's up here now, and now they're both way down below him. And honestly, I did SEO for him for 1 month, and we haven't been able to do it again because my SEO guy got pulled off onto another couple of projects. So this is really with just 1 month's worth of SEO. If we had done it consistently, he should be way up here. But this is what I'm teaching you today is the same process I went through with Barry, but we also created for Barry what we call a lot of landing pages, a lot of long tail stuff, which I mentioned earlier, which is different from Google My Business. But when you're doing both, that's when your results really sort of start to take off.
So Kiwi, a question I want to address quick too, before we get lost in a different topic. This is from Lindsay. I think it's Zarbo is how you say it. Did you mention that the SEO keywords should be in product category tab in Google My Business ? Does that help with the keywords getting to the first page?
Yeah, good question. Look, I recommend you use the keywords like homes for sale and then your service area, or she just listed your service, for this one, for example, golf course homes for sale in Chesapeake, Virginia. This is a post, okay? And when he added a post, like an added a product here, you can give it a description. This is where you would add the keyword. It could be home for sale or just sold in Chesapeake, Virginia, golf course home, right? Adding in those keywords into your name, into the description, all that stuff adds up if you do it consistently. But you want to be thinking, okay, what are the things people are looking for?
Love it.
And then make sure those keywords, you put them in to the places, the product name, the actual description, and then you keep doing that consistently. But you don't always have to do that. You also want to keep it fairly natural. Like this is just a blog post, right? And this is like houses off market. So there's really no keyword in there. So you don't always have to do everything keyword related. Otherwise it may look a little bit spammy. So you want to post really helpful stuff, especially if you've got stuff around your communities, areas that you service, like top 5 restaurants, in your service area. Post that crap in here. And then, make sure anytime you've got a property, you're coming in under products and you're adding that in, but, using it as creating the keywords in the categories, just another way which allows you just a bit more visibility, a bit more keyword density. But even, by using the properties, just by using the address, right? The property address in here, that's going to, or in the description, that's going to include your service area. It's going to include that it's a home. So that stuff all helps as well.
Great, thank you, Kiwi. Another question too, before we move on, because it pertains to this, from Tracy Butler. Dumb question, but how do we get to that page? I'm not sure what page she's talking about, but once again, the instructions get into the Google My Business. That's right in the chat. And then once you're in, I think what she's asking, right, Kiwi, is how to navigate this. There's a column you're on right here.
Yeah, so to get into, this is Barry's Google My Business account. So what you need to do is go to google.com/business, claim your account, and then you're in here. And then to navigate to the different sections, it's just the left navigation here.
Awesome.
So
a really good question too that came up was, should I go back and add all of our previous listings or just add them moving forward?
No, I would just have them I would add them moving forward and create a consistent cadence with them. Make sure you have some sort of process where when you do have a new listing or a property does get sold, you automatically have a system where someone goes ahead and adds them in here for you. So this is really becoming a big archive of all of your stuff. So all those keywords, everything is included here in one place.
I'm going to do just one or two more questions before we move on because it's pertaining to this topic we're talking about. What if you don't have any listings to post, Kiwi? What do you do then?
Good question. If it's anyone in your office who has homes for sale, ask them, do you mind if I post your listing? But generally, all of these are, a lot of these properties are all on the MLS anyway. So, it's up to you, but you're just promoting other people's properties. Most of the time you're able to do that, but you may just want to check with the listing agent and say, hey, is it okay if I post your property into Google? It's a great looking property. I want to get more eyeballs on it. And I don't know many agents who are going to say no.
No doubt. So the other question before we move on, I think the last one, where can we see the video on YouTube?
Yeah, good question. Let me grab it for you here and put it into the chat.
And as you're doing that, last question, Kiwi, I think we can knock out. Are the products only available on your GMB for a certain period of time, or are they permanent?
Yeah, good question. They are permanent, so they're not going to remove them. One of the things when you're adding a listing is you also add a link to where they can find out more about that property. So, if you are creating, like, if it's one of your listings and you create a single property page on your website, I would point it to that single property page. With Ylopo, we create a search site for all of our clients. Those search sites are super fast and designed for lead capture. So we encourage our clients to point to the search site, which is what we're doing with Barry here. But it's totally up to you where you want to point it to. But just remember, in the future, when this property is off the market, you don't want all your links to break. So make sure you point it to a place where potentially, it's still going to stick around.
Love it. Great answer. All right, Kiwi, moving forward. What we got?
Yeah, so let's see here. So service areas we talked about categories and keyword stuff. The other thing is photos. So you have here photos section. You want to go through and add in a bunch of photos, especially around for your location, if you've got an office. Again, Google My Business is really designed for local businesses. So if you can show them pictures of the outside, show them pictures of the inside. Another thing you can do, which is going to help you stand out, which also not many people do, is do a 3D tour, like a Matterport or whatever the heck you use, of your office and upload that. The 3D tour actually is going to show Google that you are a true real business, right? People actually now are going to be able to walk through and look at your office. They really like that. And it's something not many people know is even an option, but you can. I'm not going to show you how to add that, but just Google how to add 3D tour to Google My Business. There's a bunch of articles on there, but it's something not many people do. But you guys have access to 3D sort of technology, and I would utilize that for your office if you've got a local office.
We got a great question here. Somebody thinking about leveraging, automating, all those type of things. Amanda Smith asked, is there a way to automate posts from Facebook to Google My Business? Is there a way to auto dump there?
I don't know. I don't think so. You want to be careful automating stuff because it can start to look a little spammy. And it can, there may be a way to set up a Zapier and take it from one, push it to the other. It's possible. I have people doing it manually for my clients, and I teach all my clients to be able to just add this as part of your process. It really, once you've done it a few times, it only takes 10, 15 minutes. But I don't want to get off track. I don't want to lose my thought on the photos thing. Because photos, it's also important to do something called you need to add metadata like geo-imaging for these. So let me show you how I do this. Geotag them is the word I'm looking for. So this is a piece of software. And actually, before I go into that, let me explain what geotagging is. Geotagging is whenever you take a photo and you upload it to the internet, that photo actually has what we call metadata data associated with it. It's built into it where that photo was taken, what that photo was taken with. Was it taken with an iPhone? Was it taken with a digital camera? All that information is stored inside photos. So one thing Google looks at is it looks at your photos and it looks at the geotagging data. And if it's seeing that these photos were taken like in the Philippines or in Russia or somewhere else, and you're in Virginia Beach, and now they're going to be like, hang on, these guys are, the red flags are going to start going off and they're going to penalize you. So if you are truly taking photos like with a digital camera locally and you're uploading them, you don't need to do anything else. You're actually already ahead of the game. But if you've taken photos and you're not sure, if the geotagging is correct on them, or if you're using, like, for example, Barry's, headshot and it was edited somewhere else and someone sent it to you, you want to use what's called a geotagging tool. I use this one here called geoimager.com. That allows you to upload the photo, give the photo a address, so you can put in the address where the photo was taken, push a button, and now it's going to update all the geoimaging data on that photo for that location. So what I do is that helps is I make sure that if it's a property photo, I make sure we update the geo information to match that property address. So it truly looks like this is where the photo was taken, But if you've got someone locally sending out, and doing it with a digital camera, all that stuff should be built in anyway. But I just want you guys to be aware, especially if you're using stock photos for anything, you want to run them through a geoimager tool so that it does look like they were taken local. And that way Google's getting all of these signals here are more local signals from more local content that's going to help you in your ranking or the SEO.
What was it, the geo tool again? I'm going to put that in the chat.
Yeah, geoimager. I'll put it in for you. I'm going to paste it right here.
I got it. There we go.
Yep.
Perfect.
And it's only $40 or something. I don't know what it is. It's not much. But yeah, so that's, and what's going to happen is, look at the views on a lot of these photos. This one here he's got 11,000 views. It's been on there for 40 weeks. This one nearly 3,000. This one 1.7. 1.3. 15 weeks. These are, he's got hundreds of thousands of views when you add all these up. So it's, it's not just, you're putting them on there, then you're hoping, you're going to get leads. These are being seen by a lot of people on Google and a lot of different places. So definitely max out, do all of your team members, you should have photos of them in there. And you should be saying, licensed real estate agent, right, is the keyword. And then you want to put the areas that they service, and then label it as that. Kathleen Black, licensed real estate agent in Virginia Beach. Boom, that's the name of that photo. You want to update it, add that one. Then do that for all of your team members, and then do it for all of your just listed, all of your just solds. And what we also do with Barry, you'll see here, is he's got this nice looking it looks like a nice postcard, but essentially what we're doing is we're going into Canva, and inside Canva you can set up a little template with your branding, and you can just drop in 2 or 3 of the pictures that you like for the property, and you just switch out, you add in the address and the price, and then you save that image. And then you take that image and you upload it into the geotagger, you tag it for that property, and then you upload it. And that's, that's one really nicely optimized little piece of content that you're adding to your account that's going to help. That I guarantee, there's not many other agents out there who know how to do this stuff. So if you're checking on these little boxes, that's going to really help you.
So, but I think Kiwi, a couple of things. So, real quick, number one, you just alluded to that this will not always have a direct lead gen effect. So you have to kind of get your mind out of just lead gen and more things like brand awareness and just credibility. Visibility is credibility, right? When you're seen by a lot of people, whether you're recruiting agents, working with buyers and sellers, somebody just looking at you because they're thinking of using you, that credibility is priceless. But as we're talking to you, you brought up something like, hey, we should just make this part of our process. A lot of agents sometimes don't really have much of a process. They kind of just create it every single time, recreate the process. But I think it's important, tell me if I'm wrong, that when you're going to be doing something like this, you need to make it more systematic. It needs to be something that's systematic and you do consistently. So make it part of an actual process.
Yeah. I set up is a spreadsheet, which is similar to this. And it is this, but it just has different tabs. And it shows each week that they've actually posted. And they just need to check the boxes and send me a report each week saying, hey, this week we posted on this day, and this day. And then I can go into the account and look at it. Cool. Then every now and then I'll go into the White Spark and say, oh God, how are we doing? Definitely, give it some time to pick up. We got, results pretty quickly for Barry, but be patient with it. SEOs are patient, you got to be patient, but you just got to check all these boxes. So I recommend posting 3 times a week, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, potentially. It's up to you guys. And again, having someone do it for you and just hold them accountable, because you guys are going to get too busy. And it's, when you stop doing it, then it just it's nowhere near as effective.
So Patricia Bruns asked, where can we get this checklist? So this is not really part of an official Google platform. This is your checklist that you created, Kiwi. So you could screenshot it, recreate it, something of that nature, but is there a better way that could create something like this?
Let me see.
Are you going to give it up? Are you just going to put a link to it?
Just going to give it up, my friend.
Look at that. See, that's what I was kind of pushing you. I didn't want to just give up your stuff, but I was kind of pushing you in a position that you couldn't say no. See that? That's a ninja move I just did.
I'm going to put it in the chat. Yeah, look, I want you guys, everyone to have access to it. It's not rocket science. It's just knowing what to do and having a little checklist to go through it. I guarantee if you do all these things, it's going to give you a big advantage over everybody else. Again, though, would preference, you need a brick and mortar location. If you are working in an office and there's like 10 other agents in the office, then someone has probably claimed this address. It's going to be very difficult for you to stand out.
So we also had a comment here, Kiwi, where somebody said that they claimed their business with a home address and went and hid their address. So can you speak to that?
He claimed it with the home address and then what?
And then I think they said they hid their address. Let me find the comment again. I'll look for that. But they said, I think they basically claimed with their home address, but they said they then hid their address. So I don't know what they meant by that. I was asking if you might know.
Yeah, look, if you're the whole thing of Google My Business is about trying to promote local businesses and keep them in business, right? And have them like getting Google reviews, right? The more Google reviews, the more Google's going to love you type thing. The more you're using their tech, the more they're going to love you. If you're hiding your address, that's a big sort of red flag for them that you might not be a true local business. And then they're not going to send foot traffic your way. I think that's probably going to really hurt you.
So she said she's still getting about 450 views a month, even with the hidden address. So perhaps that's true, but if you did not hide your address, you're saying that could be more beneficial. You could do more than that.
Yeah, views is one thing, but how many people are actually, if you were tracking it on Google My Business, how much visibility is she getting? Is she growing? Is that consistently growing? Or is she getting very small amount of visibility? And this is based off how much local visibility you get inside Google. Barry was getting 4%, now he's getting 34%, right? Really, again, we only spend a month. And then I came in here and I did a lot of long tail stuff, a lot of landing page stuff, which really gave him another nice nudge. I can do a separate webinar on just landing pages for SEO, long tails type stuff. But again, I want to separate out the Google My Business versus the long tail stuff. Ultimately, if you do both, that's where you're going to get your best results. But I just don't have enough time to go into detail with both today.
No, we'll have to. I like to take you off track. I like to get you on your toes and barely able to finish what you did plan to do today. So you know me. But we've got about 10 minutes left before the top of the hour. So let's see what we can do here.
Yeah, so the other one, like I mentioned earlier on, is make sure you're asking your clients for Google reviews. It's a big part of the algorithm. get as many reviews as possible. That's really going to help you with your rankings as well. So, and then finally, you know, citations. Citations is a third-party reference of your business name and address. So again, you can, you know, like for example, when you add on Yelp, right, that gives you a citation. You go onto yellowpages.com, it gives you a citation. There's a lot of tools out there to get citations for your business. And what each one does is it sends a little signal to Google that, oh, not just these guys are saying, you know, this is who they are. All these other places are saying this is who they are, and they're linking to it, right? Because on those other pages, you're going to be able to put your website address. So I would, you know, what I do, I kind of cheat a little bit. I just outsource that to Whitespark. They can generate citations for you. They have a system. They're going to manually go in and submit you to all the top places that matter. I just pay the money because I don't have time to deal with that. It's not super expensive. And that stuff adds up. The only kicker to that is, you know, if you're getting hundreds or thousands of these citations out there, that gives a lot of trust with Google. But if you end up moving or changing your address, changing your phone number, you've got to go back and change all those later on, or start over from scratch. So just be aware of that. You know, if you're about to move or you've got a big move coming up, I would hold off a little bit on this strategy until you're cemented in one place and you know you're going to be there for a while, and then go all in.
Love it. So, Kiwi, do you have any more we got to run through today, or we kind of just said question answer period?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you know, I mentioned Canva as a tool for doing your properties, making them look really sort of nice and consistent. Geotagging, citations, you can get, you know.
LCA also has a really good partnership with Max at the LCA Design Studio. So if you don't have Canva, you could probably do some things in there as well. One thing before we get into questions and answers, I really want to touch back on is this, and Kiwi brought it up first, but I want to really reiterate this. Setting it up in a process is going to be really important. I'm sure a lot of you guys listening to this right now are like, oh my God, I don't know how to get started with this and how much time it's going to be. How do I get rolling with it? So just kind of breaking it down step by step, putting it into a process and getting some habits formed around it. That's where you start. You know, so even solo agents can benefit from this if they can get a physical location. But Kiwi, again, how many people do you know that really succeed at this that don't have it as a process-based system?
I don't know anyone. If you're not doing it consistently, you know, it's going to be very difficult for you.
And if you're doing it reactively or when you feel like it, you're never going to do it. It literally has to be on a schedule, you know, consistently with a system, so you know exactly what you're doing every single time. And delegating pieces of that off, no problem. Go ahead and do it. In fact, I'd recommend it. You shouldn't be sitting there doing all these things yourself. You should be out in front of high intent buyers and sellers, or if you're team leaders, in front of, you know, agents for recruiting meetings. That's where you really make your money. But delegating this off and setting it up and building it out so they can run, you know, just like plug and play, that's where you're going to be successful with it.
Yep. So I wanted to leave a few minutes open for questions as well. If anyone's confused or.
Okay, so Sandra, I think somebody asked about the design studio. So Maxa LCA's partnership there. Do you have anything we can maybe post in the chat on that? That'd be good. Let's see here.
I see Ron Davis. How do you get the reviews? Look, you've got to ask for them, and you just got to send them a link to your Google My Business. And say, look, at the end of each close, you know, what I've seen some people do is have their transaction coordinators or have that part of their process as well, and have them, when they're closing, when the clients, you know, are feeling their best, they make sure it's part of their process to reach out and ask for that review at that stage.
You know, it's always worked really well for me in that, Kiwi, is, and you're right, when they're happiest, feeling the best. But think about when a buyer, for example, is most happy, it's usually when they get their offer accepted. Not when they're at the home inspection and they're finding problems, or at closing and things are delayed and they're stressed out, but right when they win that offer, that's a lot of times when they're at their happiness. I've had my best luck at that point. Or when we get the offer on the house from the seller and they're like, yep, I'm happy. Well, we got more than asking price, boom, review time. So think about the best strategy when the person's most open to reciprocate and help back.
Yeah. And, you know, I see on social media, a lot of clients, a lot of real estate agents posting pictures with their new happy homeowners, right? Just sold, handing them the keys. It's sort of a real happy sort of feel-good image. And shoot, that would make great content in there as well to post as photos.
And, there is platforms out there that will disseminate dispersed reviews among multiple sites. So maybe you get, Google, Zillow, and a couple others all from one review source that just splits it to different spots. I think Bird Eye might be one of those. I don't want to misspeak, but there's a few out there that do that. So you might be able to get one review source that goes to multiple spots. Reviews, I think, are so important because, when people are Googling, especially coming out of town, and it's happening even now in referrals. I'm seeing a lot of my agents getting reviewed. They're looking at the reviews before they'll actually call them on a referral. Like, they're getting referred by a friend to this agent that's being highly spoken of, but they'll actually review you. They'll actually look at your reviews to see if they should be talking to you. So it is an important piece.
Yeah, and a question I've seen come up a lot in the LCA community is, where should I ask my clients to review me, right? Should I be doing it on Yelp? Should I be doing it on Zillow? Should I be doing it on Google? I mean, what do you recommend? And, if I always hesitate a little bit with Zillow, because you're sending more business their way, you're putting more value in their brand and less in yours. If you really want to own your brand, own your future, I would put it into Google and cut them out of it, so you've got some control there. It's just you and them.
Love it. And like I said, there's so many different ways people ask for reviews when they get them, where they want to put them. But I agree. I think once you get your reviews dialed in, how you're asking for them, I think Google #1 should definitely be there. Google's a huge place you should have your reviews in, and any place else you can get them. But like I said, you may be able to get one spot to drop reviews that goes to different spots. Really good to look at that. All right. Do we have any other questions? All right. Let's see. When I search my name on Google, it doesn't reveal my website. That's probably...
I can see that one. Yeah. Look, Max, that's different from Google My Business, because that's what you need to do is, I would go and try and buy the name maxgatfield.com if you can get that. There's probably just not a lot of great content you put out there under your name. It's funny, I can't rank for my own name, Aaron Franklin, because there's a crazy guy in Texas who makes a lot of barbecue, and he just kills it on the first few pages. But if you've got a fairly unique name, it's pretty easy to rank #1 for that. And I would recommend you buy a domain name that has your name in it if you can get it, because that's just going to protect your reputation. And then you also want to make sure, you've got your Facebook account with your name. You've got, if you're buying your own name, then build a website around that with your resume on it, or different things about you, and then put your name in multiple places that going to help with your reputation, because that you can control. Because later on, you don't want someone who writes some really horrible article or something about you, and that's showing on the first page of Google because there's nothing else, and you can't get rid of it. So you want to be proactive and Google your name, see what shows up. But you want basically high trust websites where you can add your names, like Facebook's one. Grabbing your own domain name and setting up a website is another one. There's a lot of websites out there where you can add your name to, Twitter or all the social media ones, and they're going to sort of rank really high because they've got so much trust already with Google.
All right, I think we're at about top of the hour, man, or is it bottom of the hour? I never know the difference between the two. We're at time. So Kiwi, thank you so much. A wealth of information. I'm sure everybody's head spinning, thinking, how do I do this? I got to get started in this. So everybody get out there and just do it. Put it into action. You cannot lose. You're not going to hurt your business by promoting your business. Go out there and do it. Any last words, Kiwi?
Yeah, execute. So
go into action. Do it now. Don't think about it. Get into action.
Yeah, find someone to do it for you too. Send them the training that I put in the link, or tell them to watch the replay of this.
That's what you got to do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of the week, great weekend. Catch you on the next one.
See you, man. Later.